This is one of the highly coveted Sports 225 t-shirts. Remember the little TV guy? He went from Sports Monday to Sports 225, and I have one here for Chris. My only request is wear it where somebody will see it. I don't care if it's mowing the lawn, because people drive by your house or whatever, so whatever. Don't forget that when we go. Yeah,
Thank you. No, I'll wear it proudly.
Everybody gets a parting gift, now and then when I
First
remember.
class.
I'm so bad about that. I just. Anyway, he's Chris Blair. He's going to be the LSU play-by-play announcer, starting with baseball season this year, and we'll pick up with football and basketball, and then baseball again next year. In the meantime, he's slowly starting to get in the LSU athletic department, doing a little this and a little that. And so you're at Georgia Southern. Jim Hawthorne says, this year coming up is going to be the end, and you're like, hey, everybody in the sports world knew that job became available. Then what happens?
Actually, it was a funny way that it happened. We were on the road in Monroe, Louisiana, for basketball. Georgia Southern was taking on ULM in a Sun Belt Conference game, and we had gone out. Our crew had gone out to eat on a Friday night prior to the Saturday game, and I got a phone call from a friend of mine, Wes Durham. Who,
I know Wes well.
Yeah, Wes.
I did a book called Hoop Daddy about fathers, sons, and basketball.
Absolutely.
And Wes was in the book because he and his dad, Woody, hold the distinction of being the only father-son to both call Final Fours. He did it for Georgia Tech.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Wes calls and says, I hear Jim Hawthorne says he's going to retire at the end of, football and basketball. And I said, wow, that's interesting. I said, funny enough, I'm sitting in Louisiana. I'm in Monroe. And we talked. And after we got done, I realized that over my right shoulder was an LSU Sports Radio neon sign that I had not noticed prior to that. And the guys that I was with, after we talked about it, said...
It was like the part in Blues Brothers where the light shines down, and I've seen the light.
It really was odd. So we got back to Georgia on Sunday. Monday, I put together what I thought was the best pieces I had of football and basketball, and I typically try to make it short. I think people, they don't want to hear people talk. I hear myself talk enough, so I put maybe 5-6 minutes together of football, basketball, and baseball. And
pretty much you can hear that and know if you can do the job or not, I think.
Yeah, and send it off. Send it to Baton Rouge. And that was, gosh, what was that, late February? Mid-February, possibly? Yeah. And then it's radio silence for 2 to 3 months.
And there was a lot of speculation too on who might want to get in the mix and if where the next guy was going to come from. I'm just trying to remember, like in my memory there, it was like, is there an ESPN guy who want to take this job? And and I'm thinking, you got to come to a local market. It's a different deal, and there were other names and people associated with it. And yours was not one that I had ever heard of.
Probably not.
No, I hadn't. Whatever. But then once your name popped up, and a couple people who I knew who knew you and listened to you said, "Hey, the guy's good."
Well, that's awfully nice. Yeah. I knew it was going to be a job.
I figured you didn't get the job because you're bad now.
Well, I knew when these jobs come up, and they don't come up very often.
Right.
And there's a reason. Because if you love what you do, and all of these guys that I've met do, and you get that opportunity, you don't easily walk away from it. And I haven't talked to Jim about it, although we have spent some time together, but I can only imagine that it was one of the more difficult decisions to finally say, hey, I think I want to do it one more time. So that shows you the passion people have for it.
Right.
And so you knew it was going to be a lot of people that wanted it. And, as they say, you can't win the lottery if you don't play. So what did I have to lose? I loved my job at Georgia Southern. I loved the people I worked with. But again, going back to my time at Clemson, there was always this dream of being at a major, big-time college institution.
Well, there's only roughly, if you count the Power Five, and maybe 4 or 5 other schools out there, Notre Dame, BYU, whatever. There's only, 65 major college announcing jobs like that.
And to break it down even further, and this was pointed out to me earlier on in the process, that many people consider the SEC right now, as we stand, the cream of the crop. And there's 14 schools.
That's it.
And there's a lot of announcers.
Yep.
A lot of people. So knew it was going to be competitive, and really had no idea, didn't dream in a million years that I would get a phone call a little before Memorial Day saying, we'd like to bring you to Baton Rouge to interview. And again, didn't know how many people they were going to interview, didn't really care. It was just a matter of, here's an opportunity to go. And as my father told me years ago, you always go on those trips, because if you ever been to Baton Rouge and the answer was no, Well, you get a couple of days in a town you've never been before. And I got to be honest.
Oh, wait, you had never been to Baton Rouge?
Never had been. I've been to Louisiana a lot, never had been to Baton Rouge.
No
Been to
kidding.
New Orleans, been to Lafayette.
It's like the, when Nick Saban came to LSU as the football coach, and I think it was 2000, the first day he ever came to LSU was when he did his news conference. He didn't even see the place before he took the job. You, of course, at least came here.
Well, I would have taken the job without seeing it. But I had a great time during the interview process. The people at LSU, you just had a sense that it's very similar. And I get in trouble sometimes when I try to compare Georgia Southern to LSU. That's not what I'm trying to do. But there was a similar feel with the atmosphere. That they were on the same page, that it was just amazing, because you really expect to come to a place like LSU that we're looking to on high and expect it to be very different. I was pleasantly surprised to see that there are challenges and there are people that are working as a team trying to accomplish a goal, and that it does take effort to reach those goals. And I know that seems silly, but I was really impressed with the people at LSU, and I was treated so graciously, and when I left, my intention was that should I get the opportunity, this is where I'm going.
Well, the thing is about a place like LSU and the schools that we talked about in this conference, all of the resources are there. Not only are you going to get to call sporting events with the best people in their particular, jobs, athletic roles, the facilities are great, and the importance put on it is great. And so, there isn't anything better. And people in the Big Ten or the ACC or the Big 12 or the Pac-12, would all argue that theirs. But, the point being is that any one of them in such a limited deal is,
Yeah, well, it's, earlier this week I attended practice just to watch the basketball team practice. And as I'm there, which I do pretty regularly, I look over and there's Jay Billis, which, again, that's, when
he
you
didn't
talk
come to a lot of Georgia Southern games.
No, did not see him at Hanner Fieldhouse in the 10 years I was there. But, I had friends who I've known for years said, hey, I heard Tom Cruise was at an LSU football game. So, and then going back to understanding the business part of it, I said this from day one, there's not a more recognizable brand in college sports than LSU,
right,
from coast to coast. And to me, that's the attraction. And if you want to compete at the highest level, if you're a student athlete, this is where you come. And if you want to be at the highest of your profession, to me, this is where you want to be.
I was wearing an LSU water polo shirt in England. It got, stopped. Anyway, just as an aside. All right, take a break. He's Chris Blair, and he's going to be the LSU announcer. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.